Hello and welcome back to the Unified Development Code update and the first public draft of the proposed zoning map. My name is Nicholas. I'm a planner here with the Division of Planning and Development. We're very excited to make this map public, to share it with you. We've been working hard behind the scenes to come up with a map that captures all this neighborhood feedback we've been doing over the past 2 years. And we think this gets close. We need your feedback. We need you to check our work. This is part 2 of a 2-part intro video to the zoning map. Part 1, we talked more about the content of the map. What is being proposed to be allowed in my neighborhood? What is not? So that's part 1. If you're not familiar with the process, or even if you are, I highly recommend diving into that first. It's going to give you it's going to make understanding the map when we go into, clicking and looking at it a lot simpler. This, on the other hand, is part 2. This is going to be more of a tutorial that shows you exactly how our online map works, how to view it, how to use all the resources we've made available, and perhaps most importantly, how to give us your feedback. Because again, we need your comments. We know this map's not perfect. We want to get this right. We need you to help us do that. The best way to do that is to leave us your comments in writing on the map. Staff is going to review every single comment we get on the map. We're going to discuss it, every single comment. So again, that's the best way to make sure we hear your feedback. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started on this tutorial here. We have provided 2 maps. The first one is what we call the Simplified Map. And that is what you see on your screen here. When you load into this, you're going to see a map of Shelby County with lots of pretty colors and some stuff here on the left side of your screen. I'm going to start with these colors are the zoning districts. That's straightforward. I talked a little bit about that in part 1. Each unique zoning district has its own color, and so everything that is this bright yellow color is zoned the same as everything else with that bright yellow color, right? And you can see these abbreviations for the different zoning districts, which there are 20 on the legend here on the left side of your screen. Again, part 1 is going to give you an overview of what all these different abbreviations mean. Now, you're going to say, I can't remember 20 different abbreviations, and I'm going to say, neither can I. So how does the map work? Let's say I click anywhere. What you're going to get is first here on the top left, the full name of the zoning district. So RN1, see on the legend here, is the yellow color, stands for Residential Neighborhood 1, right? And then what you get in that box is what we call the intent statement. This is a 2 or 3 sentence explanation, a bird's eye view. What is the intent of this zoning district? Why did we create this district? And you can see in RN1, it is intended to allow predominantly single unit homes, right? Particularly within the core of our city on lots of 6,000 square feet. Right, so that's the bird's eye view. If I had to describe someone, what is RN1 do in 2 sentences, that's how I would do it. But you want more detail, of course, right? You want to know a little bit more about the bulk standards. You want to know a little bit more about which exact uses are and are not allowed, right? So let's move over here a little bit to the east along Summer here. And you get the same thing for the Main Street 1 district. You get the full name, you get the intent statement, which again is 2 or 3 sentences. What does this do? But also, if you click Learn More, that is going to take you to a 1-page summary sheet that we've prepared for every single zoning district, right? It has pictures of the housing types that are allowed. It also has the list of uses that are either allowed by right, which means if you meet the standards, you're allowed, or uses that require an SUP or a special use permit. Those are those uses where if I want to do a say a vocational school in the MS1 district, I have to make an application. Notice has to be mailed out. There has to be a public hearing, and there's an up or down vote. So it's uses that are allowed pursuant to some public process, right? The other thing you'll get is an example of the proposed dimensional standards. So you see the max height, the setbacks, those sorts of things. Again, these sheets are not exhaustive, but they do give you a good one-pager on, you know, if I had to give somebody a handout to say, hey, you're going to be zoned this, here's what that looks like. That's what these sheets do. And you get there by clicking Learn More in the top left. Okay. The other thing we've provided on the simplified map is what we're calling uses at a glance. That gives you the bird's eye view, the overview, what uses would be permitted, right? And those go into 3 categories. So let me click, we'll click here in this light orange, that's the RN2, Residential Neighborhood 2 district. And you'll see there's 3 categories. One is simply allowed. These are things that are allowed. You can go get a building permit for these things under our current proposal. Single unit homes would be allowed in RN2. 2-unit homes or duplexes would be allowed. Townhomes, cottage court developments, that's when you have multiple small homes on one contiguous property. You're also going to get the bird's eye view of what would not be allowed. So what would not be allowed in RN2? Apartments or any building that's over 45 feet, right? That's straightforward. Of course, there are tons of other uses. Industrial uses, for example, are not permitted in RN2. But these at a glance just give you the most important things you might want to know for what is and is not allowed in RN2, a summary. Then there's a third category. Those are uses which are allowed selectively, right? And uses fall into that category if they're in one of two different camps. The first one would be what I just explained a little earlier about their uses that require a special use permit. They require a public process. They require a vote, right? Those, for example, in RN2 include the neighborhood commercial establishments. So in RN2, you can have a neighborhood commercial establishment if you get enough votes and you go through the whole public process of notifying everyone in the neighborhood. The other reason uses fall into this category of allowed selectively is there are very specific standards for that use in that district that restrict where they can go. So in RN2, 3 and 4-plex, triplex, quadplexes are allowed on corner lots only. So we call that allowed selectively. It's allowed some places, but not other places. And again, that's camp 2 of the uses that go into allowed selectively on your uses at a glance. Finally, let's say, again, these are just a selection, just hitting the highlights. You want to know all of them. Great. If you click Learn More down here, you will get the full use matrix, which I introduced briefly in part 1. But in short, you have every land use here along the left side of your screen, all your districts along the top, and then the symbols indicate whether the use is allowed, which is the full black dot, allowed by special use permit, again, allowed through a public process and a public hearing. That's the half full circle. And finally, well, before we get to finally, just uses that are just not allowed are blank, of course. Finally, you'll see some uses that have a full black dot, but they have an asterisk. And if you go over here and look at the use notes, you'll see, for example, as we were just discussing, 3 and 4-plexes in RN2 are allowed on corner lots only. So you'll see several things that are like that. They have a little bit of a note, a restriction, and where that's relevant, it's here in the use notes with an asterisk. So that's the simplified map. It is, we hope, simplified. It's straight to the point. You know, the use case for this is you're just wanting an introduction. You want to quickly know what is and is not allowed in your neighborhood under our current proposal. You'll notice this does not have a feature where you can give us a public comment. That feature is exclusive to the detailed map, and I'm going to show it now. Okay, so here is the detailed map. And you may be looking at this and saying, wait a second, you just showed me this. When you load in, they look pretty identical. The difference is on the left side of your screen, there's an additional box, and the information that's provided is different. So the simplified map only shows you the proposed zoning. It doesn't show the existing. This map, on the other hand, you click any spot, it shows you in this middle box here, this is currently zoned RU1 under our current code. We're proposing it go to RN2, right? So it not only shows you the proposal, it shows you the change from the current. And this is especially useful to someone out there if you're familiar with the current code. But even if you're not, we have provided for every single area within Memphis and unincorporated Shelby County an explanatory note for the change that explains, gives you a little insight into staff's thinking when we were putting this map together, you know, where this came from. Again, there's a note like this for every single you know, area within Memphis and Shelby County. So as you're providing us feedback, as you're reaching out with questions, our hope is this gives you a little bit of, you know, something to talk about, something to think about, and provides you a little bit of a justification for why we're proposing this change. Okay, the top left box, exactly the same as it is on the simplified map. You have the name of the district, you have the intent statement. Here's RN1 again. You click learn more, you get the sheet. Finally, I'll show you the most important detail. I saved the best for last. This is the map where you can provide us your feedback, your comments. So the first thing you need to do in order to provide us comments is tell us the address where you're providing comments on. That's straightforward. I'm just going to type in some random numbers to show you how it works. Let's just do 652 North White Station Road. Seems good enough. You'll note here, the first thing that happens is it pops up the zoning district that property is actually zoned. So you'll be able to see the intent statement as well as, you know, just what it is. You can type in your address and see, you know, what the proposed zoning is. And let's say you've looked into this, you've thought through it, and you have, you know, you have the information you need to tell us what you think about it. This gives you three options here. You either support it, you think a different zone is more appropriate, or you're unsure. And you just let us know, right? So let's say that you feel a different zone here is more important. What's it going to ask you to do? You keep scrolling down. We're going to ask you for some detail, right? Why? It is one thing to tell me I disagree with this proposal. We can work with that. What is much you know, more helpful to us when we're thinking through this is here's why, right? So we're going to ask you for some detail. Let's just say this property zoned RN1, you think it should be zoned, pick one, RN2. I believe, can't spell, really can't spell, that's the sort of thing we're looking for, right? Next thing, you have to give us an email. This is how we'd be able to get back to you if we had a question about your comment. So you got to give us an email address in order to leave a comment on the map. You don't have to leave us an email address to comment at all. Feel free to give us a call at our main desk line, 901-636-6619. You can also reach out directly via email at zoning@memphistn.gov. That being said, the easiest way to make sure we get your comments is to leave it on this map, and that requires leaving an email. So I'll go ahead and put in my email address. And you just click submit. And there you go. Once you've submitted it, we on the back end can read your comment, right? Again, we may reach out to you if we have questions about your comment or just to give you a follow-up, but I can promise you we will review it and it will be discussed internally, every single comment. So again, this is the easiest way to make sure we get your feedback. Okay, and that is that. That is in a nutshell how you use the map, how you get us some feedback. Again, we're really excited to see what you have to say about the map, about the work we've been doing. We want to get this right. And of course, we want to express, again, how grateful we are that you've taken the time out of your day to watch this video, to understand the resources we put out there for you to use. And we really hope that this video and part one have made you confident to provide us with the feedback we need in order to make sure we get this right. So thank you again. We can't express enough, you know, the importance of your comments. They're really going to help shape the future of our city and our county. And we're grateful for you taking the time to watch this video and, you know, give us that feedback and take the time to understand what it is we're proposing. Keep up with the process. We've done a lot of work. We have a lot of work still to go. The best way to do that is to keep up at 901udcupdate.com. There's a couple resources there already, but there's going to keep being more and more posted there. So keep up with us. And we're, again, can't express how excited we are to hear what you think. Thanks so much.